At Northstar, I spent nearly 14 years helping to build and run a $40 billion global asset manager. I led structured products and later alternative investment platforms, including the product development team creating investment vehicles the marketplace actually wanted and packaged in a way that capital providers and gatekeepers could support. That taught me that fund strategy is not only about targeted investments, it's about market opportunity, structure, governance, and the alignment across stakeholders. From a capital deployment perspective, the Great Recession was the crucible. When capital is free, most people can invest. But when liquidity dries up, you have to be precise, stretching every dollar, protecting downside, and focusing on asset performance. That experience shaped how I think about deploying capital in all markets. As for moving the needle on returns, at Northstar, we generated a 17% total return to shareholders from 2004 to our 2014 spinoff. I contributed by structuring prudent, non-mark-to-market, non-recourse match-term financing across a $15 billion in real estate deals, which really was the lifeblood of our company through the downturn. I also created shareholder value more strategically, for example, through a DPO with Wells Fargo that delivered $100 million of shareholder value by exploiting mismarked assets and a motivated counterparty. At Equity Multiple, we created value by acting early in the nascent car wash market. We partnered with a strong operator, built a portfolio, and liquidated at relative scale, generating a 200+% return for preferred equity investors by negotiating equity kickers. I've consistently delivered outsized returns in both real estate and alternatives. The toolkit, building pipelines, structuring, governance, capital discipline. All this translates directly to sports and other emerging asset classes. At every stage, I've shown I can turn complexity into performance, and that's the mindset I bring to Momentous. I started my career at Fitch Ratings in 2000, where I reviewed thousands of transactions from $2 million apartment buildings to billion-dollar trophy assets. That repetition gave me the building blocks of credit analysis and underwriting discipline. At Northstar, from 2004 onward, I expanded into investing directly. I originated and underwrote more than $10 billion in loans, structured $3.6 billion in CMBS and CDOs, and ultimately oversaw a $16 billion opportunistic platform spanning every major asset class. At Equity Multiple, from 2018 to 2021, I underwrote senior loans, mezz debt, and equity in both traditional and niche sectors. At Canvas, since 2022, I've led sourcing and underwriting for $230 million in New York City multifamily acquisitions, a sector where timing and precision matter. Along the way, I've also taken on more and more corporate responsibilities, fund formation, M&A, capital markets, and sat on investment committees approving deals and business plans for nearly a decade. Underwriting has been a through line of my career, and it's also my edge. I know how to cut through the noise and decide quickly if a deal adds value or not, a discipline that transfers to any sector, including sports. My deepest expertise is in real estate across both credit and equity, with a particular depth in multifamily and structured finance. I've also spent a good portion of my career in alternatives, designing products, raising capital, and managing public and private vehicles. The edge I bring to Momentous is not just knowing how to underwrite, but how to execute complex transactions. I also bring experience from the public sector, navigating approvals and politics, perspectives that matter when regulation and stakeholders can make or break outcomes. And in sports, the investor base is changing. It's no longer just billionaires, it's more diversified with more complex structures and more client engagement. Those are areas where I've thrived. In short, I bring transactional rigor and stakeholder management, and that's the competitive edge I'd bring to Momentous. I've built teams across investments, finance, marketing, and operations, integrating an origination platform, building a 70-person broker-dealer, and standing up finance and reporting functions. Because I've had to create these areas, I know how to collaborate across constituencies and deliver results. The key is setting clear, measurable objectives. At Canvas, that might mean coordinating asset management, property management, consultants, and the city to complete elevator inspections on time, improving client satisfaction, and avoiding fines in a $60 billion portfolio. At Northstar, it meant coordinating multiple boards, investment banks, legal and tax teams in a $6.5 billion tri-party merger, organizing checklists, combing through deliverables, and ensuring best execution for shareholders. I always told investors closing a deal is 30% of the work. 70% is all done post-close. Proactive asset management, not being reactive. My approach is steady and transparent, clear frameworks, early collaboration, and leading by example. Deals only create value if you can make them work after closing, and my career has been about building the systems and the collaboration to make that happen. At Northstar, I built and ran Northstar Securities, raising $4.5 billion in retail capital through RIAs, independent broker-dealers, and the wirehouses. I also ran the due diligence teams that got us onto those platforms. We also own Townsend Group, a critical gatekeeper for institutional acceptance. I work closely with their leadership and still maintain those relationships. At Equity Multiple, I work with family offices and high net worth investors to structure deals and pre-place transactions. And at Canvas, both of our most recent acquisitions were capitalized by an institutional investor. The benefit for Momentous is my credibility with allocators. I know how they think, what they require, and how to earn their trust by doing what I say I'm going to do. Capital flows to people and platforms it trusts, and I can help Momentous earn that trust from day one. Momentous being in build mode is everything, really. I thrive in high pressure environments where I can use my full skill set: finance, strategy, operations, when it's time, team building, and capital formation. Even though Northstar became a $40 billion asset manager, I started there pre-IPO when we were lean, and I never lost that startup mentality. I carried it on to Equity Multiple, where we grew assets and revenue 10 times, to the EDC, where I funded and advised minority-owned startups, and at Canvas, where I've embraced tech to modernize a historically stubborn multifamily market. So the idea of Momentous in build mode, that's exactly where I'm most comfortable and most energized. I'm at the stage in my career where I want to channel 25 years of experience into something where my impact is outsized and tangible. My style is simple. I work harder than anyone else, and I lead by example. I'm execution driven, but not bureaucratic. I know when to push for perfection and when to keep momentum. I also know which issues to escalate and which hills are worth dying on. And through it all, I try to bring positivity, warmth, mentorship, and a little levity. Culture matters, especially with a lean team like Momentous, and I want to add to it. The right next step for me is a senior leadership role with a well-capitalized organization. I've always believed in the alignment of interests. It's simple. The less upside, the more current comp I'd look for, and vice versa. But I would expect a balance between base, bonus, and corporate and deal level equity. This role fits my vision because it blends what I know, real estate, alternatives, and capital formation, with what I want, which is to help to build something enduring. I want my next job to be my last job. Over the next 10 to 15 years, I want to be part of a platform that grows and really leaves a mark. I want to be somewhere I'm continuously challenged and where I can use my full range of skill sets, financial, strategic, operational, and team building, just as I did at Northstar. I love that role because it stretched me and gave me a chance to make a lasting impact. For me, this isn't just another role. It's a chance to help build something at the intersection of real estate and sports, both absolute passions of mine. I see Momentous as the platform where I can make some of the most important contributions yet in my career. Thank you very much.